Okay, so if I could go back in time, there's a few things that I would do differently. The very first thing I would have done differently is listen to my gut. So I don't know if you all remember, but on my previous video showing when I was transplanting my tomato seedlings, on the first seedling that I took out of the cell, it didn't really have like good root production just yet. And literally the words that came out of my mouth was like, these are probably not ready to be transplanted yet, but I'm still gonna do it anyways. And so that was pretty much like my subconscious talking to me and saying like, actually Alicia, these probably aren't ready yet. And I didn't listen to it. I just kind of went ahead and still planted them. And now this is the outcome. And so I think if I could do one thing different or a few things differently, that's the first thing I would do differently. And the reason why I did go ahead and decide to transplant them, knowing that they probably could use a little bit more time before they got moved, is because I wanted to go ahead and fertilize my seedlings, because I didn't have any liquid fertilizer. The only fertilizer that I had was the slow release EcoScraps fertilizer. And so I was like, well, I do want to go ahead and feed them, so I'm going to just transplant them anyways. And I had also seen tomato seedlings be transplanted at even younger stages than that. And so, you know, I just figured it would be fine. And so that was my reasoning behind that. The second thing that I would do differently is that after I transplanted them into the larger pots, I would give them time to adjust to their new homes before continuing the hardening off process. Because what I did was I started the hardening off process, put them in the new pots, and then I put them back outside to continue the hardening off process. And they didn't have any time to adjust to being like in the new soil, and they didn't have, I guess, enough energy and enough time to grow and just kind of adjust. And so yeah, that's one thing that I would do differently. And the other thing I would do is differently is instead of transplanting them so that I can fertilize them, I would actually just go buy some liquid fertilizer from Lowe's, which is what I ended up doing for my pepper seedlings. I just left them in a little small cells and I fertilized them. But I would just go buy liquid fertilizer. Like, this is an easy fix. I could have and probably should have just went and purchased some liquid fertilizer after seeing that they weren't ready to be transplanted yet. And then also, I think that I may have even put, let me say this. I think there's a possibility that I put too much fertilizer in my soil. Is looking back at the video, I put a cup of fertilizer and I was like, that was probably a little bit too much. And so I think there's also a possibility that my seedlings got burned from the fertilizer, because like I said, whenever I brought them back in, they were still green and still alive, even though they were laying flat. But like, I couldn't get them to really just perk up again. And I think part of the reason why is that they were getting burned from the fertilizer, but I don't really know how possible that is too, since it was a slow release fertilizer. So that's just kind of like a thought that I had. And then another thing that I would do differently is whenever I was transplanting my tomatoes into the new pots, I was kind of like pressing down around the sides of the stem. If I could go back in time, I wouldn't do that. I would just dig a big enough hole and make it deep enough to just be able to set it right down in there. Because pressing down around the soil near the stem, I think that was actually damaging the roots. And so yeah, those are the things that I would do differently. These are all just thoughts that I had. I'm not 100% sure that if I would have did all the things that I just listed, if there would have been a different outcome. Was I disappointed? Yes, but I wasn't really mad at myself because I'm learning by trial and error. And so yeah, sometimes things just mess up and they don't work out, but you still live to see another day and everything's fine. And now I'm growing some more tomato seedlings, and yeah, so they're on their way here, but they still got a long ways to go. So yeah, that's it. And hopefully everyone can learn from my mistakes and give me some tips on if you think there's anything that I could have done differently that would have made me more successful. But overall, I am really glad with this process. So thank you for watching, and like and subscribe if you want to see more videos from me, and make sure you turn on the notification bell.